Hello, everyone. What a blessing to see all of you. I should say good afternoon. Yes, to some of you, good morning to others, and good evening, because I know that we have people joining us from all over the world. I am so thrilled to, one, greet you, so thrilled to see you, and so thrilled to hear from you because in this era of disruption, this season of this pandemic, I know that so many are being affected in so many ways, directly, indirectly, and certainly physically, emotionally, and psychologically. But I just want to say hello to all of you. Cynthia, I see you. Carolyn, it's so good to see you, Carolyn. I see Alicia. I've spoken to Charlene, and there are a number of you as well. Thank you for being here. I see Michelle. I see you, Dion. I see Jackie. I see Diane. Darlene, Deborah. Hi, guys. It is awesome to see everybody, especially since many of us are confined to our homes. So, yes, welcome. I am here talking to you from the confines of my own home as well, too. And just glad to see all of you. Thank you so much, too, for being muted. I will have you come on because this is going to be a conversation with all of us. And I do have a request there too. You'll see it in the chat room. If you have questions, you can type them in, but also if you will keep your videos disabled and allow me to have mine. I am also live on Facebook from Zoom, and I'm also live on my YouTube channel, and I am live here with you. So thank you again. Let's get started. I really wanted to kind of follow up from my webinar I did a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually on tips for tackling tough times. And in that session, I really spent some time, one, acknowledging the realities of where we are and the times that we're living in and things that we're experiencing and this disruption. And I talked about the fact that it is unwelcome, it was unexpected, it has been something is uncontrollable, and something that's unprecedented. And the question becomes is how are we responding? When we talk about how defining moments come, they come at times, sometimes when we're not prepared, sometimes when it's unexpected and change is happening to us. So what I want to do in this session is just to kind of follow up on that. I talked in that session about how to manage your mood, how to manage your mindset, how to manage your money, but also how to maximize your time. I see some of you are in, and if you will, thanks for joining. Just disable your camera so that I can show a couple of slides to others. I see a couple of you in too. If you will, take your cameras off and just, thank you, just allow me for right now, and then I'm going to bring up my slide deck as well. But thanks so much for all of you for joining. But some of you I know had a chance to purchase my book, Reinvent Yourself. Others have already had a copy of it in the past, but this is a copy of it. And I'm going to be actually talking a bit about it because it couldn't be more relevant than right now because we're having to reset. Some of us are having to reposition, but at the end of the day, we all should be in a constant mode of reinventing ourselves, not just because of this pandemic, but simply because life happens, simply because we are here on assignment. We are in a season where right now it has forced us to shut in, but we don't have to shut down. It has forced us to come into ourselves and to really have to deal with some things that we haven't had to deal with ever before, working so much more virtually, being with our families every day, having this fear of all of the things that are happening on the outside around us, right? So not knowing where this invisible enemy will show up. But certainly those are things we can't control, but certainly there are things that we can control. So what I want to do today is just kind of talk a little bit about how can we, if you can, guys, turn your phones off as well. But I want to talk a little bit about how can we reinvent ourselves in this season. So I'm going to do a bit of a share, and I want to have you just kind of think about some things as I share a little bit about just reinventing yourselves. And I want to share a few strategies because I tend to, I know that people tend to be very visible, and I am too, visual. I'm a visual learner, and so I like to be able to talk a little bit about some of those things that are happening in our lives, but how can we do it? So take a look at just how we're mastering our reinvention. So if you think about now these times that we are living in, it's an opportunity, right? And there's possibilities. It's all in the way you look at it. It's all in your perspective. And as I mentioned too, we all have to manage our moods. Sometimes we have moods of being stressed out, moods of being depressed, or experiencing a lot of anxiety, or even anger, right? Anger and even uncertainty. How do we deal with all of this? What does all of this mean? Some people are saying, what is the bigger picture out of all of this? What is God doing in the midst of all of this? For those of us who are people of faith, you're asking that question. And it comes down to, when we've had other issues and situations and circumstances happen in our lives, there's always something that we need to be looking at, something that we need to see what's happening and what are some of the things that we can learn about ourselves in the midst of this. How are we mastering our own reinvention? Really, the biggest part of this, it starts with, do we really understand what is our big why in life? What is our purpose in life? Many of us have dreams. And the question I have for you is, what are some of the dreams that you have written down? Dreams that you've had years ago, dreams that you've been saying, one day I'm going to get to this. One day I'm going to accomplish this. One day, if I just had enough money, one day, if I just knew I couldn't fail, or if the opportunity presented itself. And my question to you is, when are you going to make it happen? Dreams are about, as I say, three kinds of people. Three kinds of people are those kinds of people, I'll come back to this, that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder, what happened? That life is passing you by, life is happening. Let me tell you one thing that all of us have in common. We all share this, and that is that we all have the exact amount of time every single day. Every one of us has 24 hours in our day. And the question becomes, are you one of those kind of people that's maximizing every single minute of the day, every second of the day? Because as you all know, we don't get any younger. As you all know, it's time that we will never get back again. We will never see it again. So how are you maximizing your time? Are you one of those kinds of people that makes things happen? Not one of those kind of people that's just wondering what happened. It's nothing wrong with wondering what happened, but you better very well be clear about, okay, how has this affected me and what can I do? What is in my control? So I want us to think about this. In the book, when I talk about reinventing yourself, it's so critical and important that we reinvent ourselves in every area of our lives, right? Not just having great career success at the expense of not having great personal success, or at the expense of having great financial success and not having great business success, or great relationship success, or not personal success. Or what if your health and wellness is suffering? You got great money, got a great job, you got a great career, you got great relationships, but you haven't been investing in your health and well-being. All of those things are very, very important as well. So when I go back to this slide about thinking about your dreams, I want you to write down, what are some of the dreams that you've had for years and you've never accomplished them? And then I guess the question becomes, why not? What is keeping you from accomplishing your dreams? Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that today, but I think it's very important for us to all know that there is a plan, a purpose, an assignment that you have been given to do, that God created you to be born in this generation, in the 1900s. He created you for a reason, and it is to bring value, transformation, inspiration to the generation that you were born to and assigned to. Now, you may not hit a whole generation of people, but you are assigned to certain people within this generation. So I want you to think about, what are some of the things that you've always dreamed of accomplishing? And I can guarantee you that those things that you've been thinking about for years and years, or dreaming about and imagining and writing them down, but never accomplishing those things, it has been tormenting you. It will continue to follow you, because guess what? The purpose that has been ordained and designed for you does not lift. You have to accomplish it. You have been assigned to do something, to accomplish something, to impact people, to change people's lives, to those who are assigned to you. And this is a great time to pivot because you know, we have a lot of time, we have a lot of opportunity, we have a lot of now, as I say, space to be able to process, to think, to reflect, to pivot, and to think about what are some of those dreams. So I want you to look at some of these questions. Now, they are in the book on Reinvent Yourself, and it's on page 7. Starts on page 7 in the book itself. And if you have the workbook, it literally walks you through just some write-in lines where you can think about and reflect and start to assess some of these. So I'm going to ask you to just look at just the first 7, right? There's 20 of them total. So as a certified life coach and a leadership coach and even a career coach, I actually work with people a lot. And what I find is that even some people who have achieved this high level of success in their careers, they have really done a great job of career success, but they've missed it in some of the other areas. But they're not happy. Even though they've had career success, they still find that they're not adding the value that they want. They're not following the life path that they want. They just happen to have had a great, success trajectory in their workplaces, in their organizations, and in their career. But that doesn't make you successful. So people come to me, oftentimes they're trying to reinvent themselves because they're like, I don't have meaning in my life. I don't feel like I'm adding the greatest amount of value. I don't feel like I'm living my purpose. Yeah, I'm successful, but success changes over time. What do you value most in life and why? Are you where you really want to be in life? And if not, why not? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years? I'm reading this too because some people may be listening in versus watching on the video. So I want to make sure too that you have a chance to see that. What's your life model? How do you describe yourself in less than 2 sentences or in just one short paragraph? We call that your kind of pitch, your 2-minute elevator speech, so to speak. Can you describe who you are and what you are called to do in just a short, just say you're walking down the street and someone, walks up to you and you engage in a conversation and they ask you, well, tell me a little bit about who you are or what you do. And then what are you most proud of? So I'm going to come off right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to ask you all too in the chat room, as if you will, just share with me a couple of things for you. If you've been dreaming, why haven't you accomplished some of the dreams in life? Just give me a couple of ideas. Why haven't I accomplished some of the dreams that I've always laid out? The things that I've been thinking about, I've been wanting to do it, I've been imagining it, that one day I'm going to get there. What's keeping us from doing it? Type that in the chat room. And I'm also going to ask I'm going to take off the unmute and I'm going to allow some of you as well. You can come on and you can share as well too. I'm seeing some in here. Yeah, life changes, things that happen. Good, good, good. I'm seeing some that says fear of failure. Absolutely. Too focused on one or two areas. Just out of balance. Became a mother. Put people first too much, right? And ultimately let them be successful at my expense. Working full time, have very little time to focus and pursue my dreams. Work requirements, lack of opportunities. Thank you guys. I love this. There's so many of you that are bringing in some great ideas. Work transitions are pretty hard, right? Fear, finances keep me from doing it. Another one says, again, fear of failure, fear of sabotage. Wow. Wow. And then too, someone said, I'm thinking about it, but I haven't really gotten the answers yet. So again, you just are in the process of reinventing yourself. But here's the thing, and you guys have heard me say this often, for those of you who've been listening to me for a while, is that we oftentimes are looking for meaning and significance, but in all the wrong places. And many of us die at age 30, but we don't get buried into age 85. We're looking for meaning in life, and we go through life with an emptiness and with a void because we are not feeling, F-I-L-L-I-N-G, we're not feeling those things that we have been called and while we were designed, while we were born to do. And until you do that, you will have a level of emptiness and void, and you'll constantly have questions. So then I know what your next question is how then do I get past this? How do I find out what my purpose is? So Anyone on here, if you know what your purpose is, I would love for you to come on and share. How did you figure out your purpose? And I'm going to talk about mine as well, but it's not all about me. I want to hear from you too. So I'm going to unmute right now, and I'm going to allow you guys to be able to share. Anyone that wants to come on and share, for those of you who feel like, yes, I have found my purpose, I want to hear from you. You're certainly welcome to come in and share, or you can hit *6 on your phone and you can come in and share if there's anyone that wants to. If not, you can certainly type it in to the chat room as well. Some of the other things that I'm seeing that's still coming up, you guys are still typing that your dreams keep changing, lack of money, right? Need job security. So you tend to stay at your job as well. Thank you. Don't possess the skill set, or traveling and you know, wanting to get debt free first. Thank you for sharing some of these. Don't know where to start when you're thinking about your purpose, not necessarily sure where to start, or when you're laying out your dreams. Someone says here, thank you. My purpose is to encourage others. It was determined by prayer and by seeking God's will for my life. Yes. Someone says just liberating greatness. That's my purpose. Someone says, can I share verbally? Yes. Please come on in, hit *6, and you can certainly share. Come on in. *6. Can you do it from *6?
Dr. Davis?
Yep, I hear you. Come on in. Tell us what your purpose is, or how did you find it?
Okay, my name is Kathleen McLean, and how I found my purpose was much through prayer. I am a Christian, and I found my purpose. I do equity work, team building, and leadership.
Yep.
And I found my purpose when I moved. I lived in Brooklyn, New York, and I came here and I lived in Albany, New York. And I grew up in a predominantly Black and brown community, but then I came up to this area and everything was white around me, and my 4 children, and my eldest, who is now 25 years old, went to school. I saw that she came home and she put a yellow towel on her head. And when she did that, she started to move her hair around, and I had her hair braided. I realized there was some kind of disconnect, and Danielle was struggling with her identity. By then, I was 26 years old. I had my bachelor's and master's in social work, and I didn't understand what was happening. This was very new to me. And then I did do prayer and then educate myself, and read that book, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria, by Dr. Beverly Daniel Tatum. And it changed my life, and it gave me my purpose. And I feel very fulfilled in that I'm doing a lot of work with educators and teaching them about whiteness, white supremacy, privilege, identity development, because I found that with my children, and I do this work for all children, Black, white, biracial, Latinx, Asian, all children, because if you don't know who you are, you'll never become who you can become. And I found my purpose in seeing people's lives change with new information about identity, about white privilege, about white supremacy, about the importance of children of color knowing who they are, and white children understanding, and also reading books that don't always elevate whiteness.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. You were very, very concise, right? Very succinct and very intentional. And you have to be intentional when you want to really identify your purpose. Sometimes, and I love how you shared that, Kathleen, is that sometimes it might be triggered by an experience, whether it's with your child, with your spouse, with your significant other, or sometimes it can come from a near-death experience. Sometimes it can come from a loss, or it can come from lack. It can come from challenges that even sometimes you weren't expecting, but you take a look at it, right? You take a personal look, and you see some things that you hadn't seen. Thank you for sharing that. And if you can go back on mute, that's just *6 again. I want to share a couple of the others that are in the chat room. Thank you guys so much. And if anyone else wants to come on, please do. And thank you for keeping it succinct, because we don't have as much time, but I want to hear from others. Some says, again, my travel schedule. Some said too, I love this one. 2-word purpose statement is, and again, liberating greatness. Thank you. I did read that one. And then I see another one is to help others discover their talent and to maximize their potential. Thanks, Charlene. Hey, Henry, wow, great to see you on here. He co-founded the National Society of Hispanic MBAs, which I've worked with him in the past as well, too. And he wants to accumulate the 32 years of history to share lessons learned. Thank you so much. I found my purpose through tragedy. Yes, that is the case too with me. I've gone through 3 near-death experiences, and in each of those, I sought internally, but also sought God and said, why did you allow me to live? Why didn't I get killed in that near fatal car accident? Why didn't I get killed in that abusive relationship? Why didn't I get killed in that bank robbery where I was held up at gunpoint? And in each of those experiences, I began to ask those questions and started writing down things that for me, that had I died, what would I have regretted that I didn't do? And then I started looking at what are the things that I love to do? What are my talents? What are my strengths? What are the things that I've been doing from a young child, even into my adulthood, that if I never got paid for it, I would still do it? And for me, my purpose really became training, coaching, consulting, and it's all about helping people to get a larger vision for themselves, help them to get out of their head and to step into their greatness, to allow them to really be able to walk in a true, authentic, and transparent way of who they are, not trying to be someone that they're not, but to truly walk into their true, authentic greatness. That's what I know mine is, and it comes through leadership training, organizational and behavioral transformation, and it comes through helping leaders to be able to create better teams and better cultures where people can bring their best selves to work and they can thrive. Again, a couple of others. Thank you guys. There's lots of comments in here. Lots of people joined. I appreciate that. Another one says that I found my personal passion and wanted to help people find theirs specifically in their professional careers. Yes, thanks, Nicole, for sharing that. My purpose is to provide learning paths for younger generations through writing. Absolutely. So for those of you who haven't found your purpose, one of the things that you can start to do is, one, look at all the things that you used to do growing up and the things that you still like to do now. For me, I used to always love writing. I loved English. I loved speech competitions. I loved English composition. And so I was destined to be a speaker. And at 6 years old, when I was graduating kindergarten, my teacher told my mom that she wanted me to do a speech as the valedictorian of the class. So at 6 years old, someone saw something in me. And I began to do that. Now I got in trouble all through school because I always was talkative. And even though I was very smart, got my work done, I was always talking. Well, now I'm getting paid for it. But it was something early on that started, because your gift and your talent doesn't happen at the end of your life. It happens at the beginning of your life. When you were born, when you came into this earth, there was something that you were already created to do. And your job is to discover it, uncover it, and begin to employ it. So another thing you can do is look at your gifts and your talents and your strengths. I want you to identify what are some of the things that people have always told you that you're good at. I want you to think about your performance reviews, your coaching, your feedback that you've gotten from other people. What has always been the theme that they've said you've done really well? What did you get A's in school? I know for me, I will never be an accountant. I will never be a person in IT. I will never be a person that is confined to only working in the office without people. I get my energy from working with people. I get my energy from being out and thinking and talking and interacting with people. So I know that I would never be an accountant or a CPA. That's not my calling. So you are called to do something that you are wired to do, that you're passionate about, that you love to do, that you were doing even at a young age and that you still would love to do. So I want you to think about it in those terms. I want to read a few more of the comments in the chat room. You guys are doing quite a bit. Oh, thank you, Dr. Davis, for holding space for us. I appreciate you warmly. Thank you for that. One says, me too, was in the corner every year in elementary school. Someone was in class every year getting in trouble for school. But again, tied to your destiny. Someone says, through prayer and serving others, my purpose was revealed to speak out on behalf of others by teaching my life experiences to benefit those who were searching for knowledge and education. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you guys for doing that. A couple of other things to identify what is your purpose in life. One, going through those 20 questions that I identified and the 7 that you were looking at on the screen. So let me go back to, I want to share my screen again so that we can go back to, again, I want to share just a few more thoughts before we end today. So I've already talked about these 7, right? These 7 questions. How do you define success? Success looks different for every person, and success looks different at every stage in your life. Let me give you an example. When I was younger, in my early years, college, and then into my young adult years, I thought that success meant having an awesome job, making 6 figures, a big nice house, a beautiful new car, and keeping up with the Joneses, right? That was what success meant to me until I went through near-death experiences and setbacks and career challenges, and went through relationship breakups, and went through just life. And now for me, it's so much bigger than those material things, than those worldly things. For me now, success is about how do I transform and impact people's lives. I don't care a lot about people's opinions and what they think of me, because I'm clear on what I know I am called and assigned to do. My definition of success now is about health and wellness and self-confidence and a sense of self-worth, knowing that I'm not a mistake, knowing that I was created for such a time as this, knowing that I'm designed in the image and the likeness of my creator, knowing that there are gifts and talents, and we don't just have one, we have many talents. And so for me, success looks very different now. Success to me is about peace of mind. Success to me is about having the right people around me, loving relationships, people who are speaking life to me, and not people who are speaking the defiance and death and destruction and discouragement and disappointment. Please show them the hand, right? So you need to be able to answer some of these basic questions. So when I start my coaching sessions, this is literally where I start with. So I just want you to at least think about some of those, because we all have those defining moments, and success will change and shift in our lives. But you know what? Our purpose remains the same. There's a scripture that says that I know the plans that I have for you. The creator is saying this about you. I know the plans that I have for you, and they are plans to do good, plans for you to prosper, plans for you to be successful. I know that you have an expected end, and our job is to uncover that. And sometimes in life, defining moments will come, situations will happen, things challenge us, and they are defining moments, whether it is now going through what we're going through now, right? Job insecurity, or job feeling like there's a loss of income. We all understand that, right? I've gone through those. Financial devastation. I went through those times where I didn't have enough money to pay my bills, and and I was relying on government assistance, and I was considering bankruptcy, and I was robbing Peter and then robbing Paul. I didn't have the money to pay the bills, right? So I'm living off of credit cards, and I got student loan debt, and then I've got a baby, right? Married at a young age, but then got divorced, and then became a single mom. So all of us have had these situations, what we call defining moments. It might be that you're getting older. Some of us have hit 50, but I can say for me, I turned 50, I'm looking 30, but I'm feeling 20, right? It's all about the mindset. So you've got to be able to get through these difficult times, whether it's loss, grief, stress, depression, uncertainty, rage, anger, bitterness. Don't allow this time now that we are shut in to cause you to shut down. Don't allow these setbacks in life and these disappointments in life to cause you to really shut yourself down and to be in a place where you can't move, where it immobilizes you, it paralyzes you. But use this time to keep moving forward. We've been in the house now, so times that I would be spending on the road, and y'all know I travel 80 to 90% of the time. The times that I would spend traveling now, I don't have to be in the airport. I don't have to be standing in lines. I don't have to be traveling 5 and 6 hours somewhere, or 17 hours to another part of the world. I am using that time to write, create new courses. I'm writing a new book that just got picked up by a major publisher. That's awesome. I'm virtualizing and digitizing much of my content now, putting it online. I'm delivering coaching and training programs to clients. I'm taking those keynotes that I was scheduled to do now, and I'm keynoting like this, except sometimes I'll stand up and I'm moving around, but you guys see, I'm passionate about this thing. I'm excited about this time to now rest, reflect, sleep in my own bed. I'm enjoying the time of catching up with family and friends. I'm enjoying that time of just recreating some things that I hadn't had a chance to work on, projects that I kept saying I'm gonna get to that, and now I'm getting to it. So use this time wisely, maximize these moments, maximize this time. And so when I talk about redefining success, use this time now, right, to assess what is important. Look at and prioritize right now, what are some of the things, some of the pieces in my life that I need to change? What are some of the people in my life that I need to let go of, right? This is a great time for you to reassess where you are, where you've been, how has it been effective or not, right? Even though I usually tell people take June as the mid-year check-in, mid-year assessment. But in life, right, sometimes things will come before we have a chance to do our mid-year check-in. This is a great time, do a check-in, because times right now would have it as such that everything is shut down. You can't watch games, you can't go out to the beach, you can't go to the park. You know what? You have time now to really focus on you. This most important decision that you can make right now comes in these times that are tough and challenging. But it's those times that you really get a chance to not only define what is success and what it really means, but you also get a chance to see yourself.
Reflect.
Right? And what we don't want to do is be an enemy to our success or be our worst critic, right? We need to be our greatest ambassadors, our biggest cheerleaders. We need to be able to speak positive. So I want you, as you think about what success looks like in your life now, I want you to think about, what does it look like 2 years from now, right? So this is now April 27, 2020. But I want you to think about now my dreams, my goals. Write them down. You got to write the vision down. You got to write your dreams down. You got to make it clear, make it plain, make it clear and concise. And then I want you to think about 3 to 5 years from now, what would it look like? Because the reason why a lot of times people don't accomplish their dreams and their goals in life, you mentioned all those other things. Yes, life gets in the way. Yes, I got these things going on. I don't have the money to do this. But you know what? I didn't have the money either. But you got to put your faith to work. And when you write your vision and your goals down, there's a couple of other steps. That is, yes, always be prayerful about it, right? Exercise your faith. That's important, because you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe that you are wired and purposed and gifted to do it. But you also want to make sure you get the right resources, the right equipment, the right people around you. You need a support network. You are not called to create, you're not called to deliver and to impact the world by yourself. You're not called to achieve your assignment and to walk out your purpose by yourself. You must have other people around you. We are not called to do this by ourselves or do it alone. So you got to think about who are the people that are around you or that you need to have around you. And I always say, if you're the smartest one in your group is too small. You need to look at your top 5, what I call, who is your personal board of advisors. Look at those people, the top 5 people, the ones that you go to the most. Are they adding value to your life? Are they able to speak life into your life? Are they speaking things that are positive, things that will help you go to the next level? Do they believe in you, or are they the ones that keep saying, girl, you know you can't do that? Boy, please, I know where you came from, girl. Boy, I know your daddy. I know you ain't, when you have people talking like that, you need to bring that to a necessary close, right? So that's a whole nother session. But when you talk about purpose, you always want to start with your gifts, your talents, and the things that you've always wanted to do. The things that you said that I would do this if I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't fail. Don't let money be the thing that stops you. I want you to focus on your what and your why. The how will take care of itself. You got to start putting those things out there. You start speaking those things. You start using the people around you that have been assigned to you to help bring life, to help birth your dreams and your visions and stuff to life. You share it with them, because they're the ones that won't be afraid of your big goals. I call them BHAGs, your big, hairy, audacious goals. but they will be the ones that will put their foot in your back and push you. They will be the ones that will help you to accomplish those things that you don't think you can do it alone. Now, the other thing too, for me, I think is big, is that if you have a dream that only you can accomplish, it's too small. If your purpose and your vision that you have in life is something that you can do, first of all, you would have already done it. But your vision and your purpose is something that you can't do alone. You need to have, like, not only the people around you, but you need to have God around you as well too. For me, that's what I needed. Some people may not believe that. Some people may not believe in that, but since it's my webinar and I'm sharing my own personal story, I can share with you that for me, I felt like that if it was something that I could accomplish by myself and I didn't need a higher power, it was too small. And it certainly wasn't something he called me to do. I see a couple of things, people chatting in the room. So let me get a couple of you in the room as well. I'm going to hit you in just a second, but I want you to think about the two most important dates in your life. And a lot of times when I ask this question, people will say, well, it's the day that you were born. And I say, yeah, that could certainly be the case as well. But it's also not only the day that you were born, and then some people will say, well, the other most important date is the day you die. And I submit to you that's too late. That the most important dates are the day you were born and the day that you discover why. So let me see a couple of chats in here. Thank you guys. I'm going to come back over to you. Stop sharing my screen, and I want to come back in, and I want to see a couple of the chats as well. So let's see a couple of you. Thank you for some of the comments. So what I hear here is, let's see, okay, someone said the day you, this is so good. Thank you. How has COVID caused people to possibly change their focus, their direction, their priorities? Absolutely. Primarily due to the threat and the health hazard, right? So what are your priorities? What are some of the things that it's caused you to pivot? How have you repositioned? Not only where you are today, but maybe you're reconsidering the career you're in. Maybe you're reconsidering the relationship you're in. Maybe you're reconsidering how you've been thinking about life, where you are right now today. Maybe you're considering now, when I come out of this, here's how I'm going to be different. Here's how I'm going to be stronger. Here's how I'm going to be wiser. Thank you for sharing that, Henry. Absolutely. I think that's so important. A couple people, I bought my candy with my allowance and gave it away at recess. Always giving. I love that. Someone else says, let me pull that in too. The day you find out why. Thank you. And then others are just thanking me for this time. So I appreciate that as well. So what I want to do is I'm going to, again, have you guys come off of mute. And now I'm going to open it up for questions because I want to finish up the last 5 minutes. Everybody is now off. So if you have something going on in the background, mute yourself. Please, please, please. But if anyone has
how do you mute it?
Come on, please do.
Click on it, and then there's a mic.
Okay, I hear someone talking. Tiffany is talking, but if you guys don't have anything to say, you can go, just hit *6. But if you want to share some questions, have comments, I'm interested in too. What have you been doing and pivoting? How have you been pivoting during this coronavirus pandemic? I call it the Rona. How have you been pivoting through all of this? What are you doing differently? Got some that are putting it in the chat room. Thank you. Some says, let's see.
Dr. Davis? No.
Yeah, hey, come on in.
Okay, good. Are we doing video or no?
No, just come on in. I can hear you talking.
Okay.
I see you now, Lawrence. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Good.
Yeah.
It would have been great to see you when you were here in Milwaukee. Oh, we need you here so bad. Every week. So my question is, and I put it in the chat, and you touched on it a little. When you're old, and that success does look different, how do you know what satisfies you off that list? You know, how do you make a choice? You know.
So you've gotten older now. You have a list, but you're saying too, how do you then go back, refer to that list, and make determinations about what's still important and what's not?
Yeah, when you press that reset, okay, COVID we don't go back to normal. So some of those expectations and dreams are obsolete now or have changed. From a pivot standpoint, you said, how do you pivot?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know which foot to pivot on, you know?
Mm-hmm. So thank you for asking that, Lawrence. It really goes back to understanding what's your why? What is your why in life? And even though, like I said too, I understood mine number of years ago, and I've been walking towards that ever since, is to really help people get out of their heads, step into their greatness, get a larger vision for themselves, and not only people and individuals, but helping to transform organizations while empowering individuals. And so life happens, right? This pandemic shifted a lot of things. Like my calendar cleared out for 4 months now, and I'm still looking for ways to add value. My purpose and my why did not change, but your methods and your the way, the process that you do it might change as well.
You want to watch this with me, baby?
Someone else is talking. If you can put yourself on mute, or if not, I'll do that. I can mute you. Great. Thank you, guys. But the other thing too is this is a great time now, and I'm big on constantly reinventing yourself, constantly going back and saying, what's different now? What am I passionate about now? Directionally, am I on track? Do I have, and here's a big part of it, do I really have peace in my heart about what I'm doing? Where am I going? Am I really happy? Do I really have a real joy down on the inside of what I'm doing? Am I fulfilled? And when you look at that list, Lawrence, it's important to say, yes, this is tied to my why, and this is bringing fulfillment, and it's bringing value, and it's bringing impact to what I do. That's always a great thing to do, is to go through and see on my list, am I really adding that value, and is it still important today? And even though it might not be important now, doesn't mean you can't come back later and pick it up too, because I'm a big believer too that a lot of times things will happen in one season, but they're meant for another season. Same thing with people. And so some things now, I created like courses years and years ago that they were fine then, but now in this new season, I'm picking them back up again because they're necessary. So you hear us talking a lot about pivot now. You hear us talking a lot about resilience now. You hear us talking a lot about how we're going to reinvent ourselves. So I was like, okay, this book is timely that I even revised it and wrote a new edition, because that's exactly what we need to be doing now. Everybody is talking about how you're going to come out of this thing differently. So that's one piece of it.
Yeah.
Good. Other questions, comments, or thoughts, come on. And if you aren't talking, go ahead and mute yourself so we can make sure everyone hears us.
Thank you, Dr.
Well, I'd like to add something.
Thanks, Crystal.
I'd like to add, yes, I wanted to add that when I revisited my list, and I told you the last time that you and I were together, that when I went to that number one, what I felt was important when I first did the Reinvent Yourself questions, in this season, it definitely did change. So I would advise anyone that just revisit the list and go back down it from number one again. And I mean, it helps me tremendously to pivot and redirect and see that my answer was not deep enough, that it could be just what was okay when I answered that question the first time. Now in this current situation that I find myself in, I've never found myself not being able to do my craft. You know, this is the first time it's ever been taken away from me, you know, and so I had to go deeper, you know, like, wow, you know, I literally can't do what I do without completely coming up with a whole new game plan and then waiting for the state to open up salons and things of that nature. And then when I do go back, you know, creating an environment where people are going to want to even come in, you know, and so it was just having to revisit the list and go in deeper. So, I mean, I've had the Reinvent Yourself book from the time that I've known you the past years, and my answers that I had before are completely different than the way that I answer them now. So I would just recommend revisiting the list, and then it'll help you go deeper in yourself. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And I think that's important, is that if you can go through that list, start with the 7. Sometimes people get stuck on the first 2, but it's worth you spending the time and investing the time for your own personal development, because that short amount of investment will be a long-term, if not a lifetime payoff. And it's really, it will add clarity to your life. And that's what we all want. We want clarity. We want to be clear on it. Your why may not change because now everything is shut down, but you find different ways to now deliver your services, right?
Mhm.
And I'm a big believer too, and it's not this is not the webinar. I'm a big believer that you have got to have multiple streams of
Yes.
income. Leverage your talent in a lot of different ways. Think about how you can make money in multiple streams, right? So
Okay.
many of us may have side hustles. It's not just only one paycheck, right? Don't be dependent on one job, one paycheck, one person, one man, or even a government. But there are ways that we can all start to be more creative. And I found myself too being very creative now that I'm here and I'm thinking, and you know, when times get hard, things get desperate, we have challenges, we tend to be more creative. But the thing you got to do is not panic. The thing you got to do is not get depressed. The thing you got to do is not feel like you're out of control. No, do what you can to get control, even though things may be out of control. Control the things that you can. And a lot of times that's your mindset, that's your mood, that's your maximizing your moments. Someone says, thank you for an inspirational message. You lift up the screen and the stage, need to run. Thanks. Oh, I love that. Thank you for the inspiration. I feel I've been stuck for years. I appreciate you. This has helped me to start the journey of getting unstuck. Oh, I appreciate that. Yes. Anyone else? And then I'm going to close it out with a few more slides. Who else is on? Someone says Reinvent Yourself workbook and Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life are most important, and the Bible is a must. 3 years ago, I worked these books, and today my family, today me, my family, and the people in our lives are in bed. Oh, that's awesome. Hi, Henry. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? So let me just give maybe a couple of things that I've been learning in the last 8 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
And one of them is it's basically about mentoring. I've been on a couple of Prosponic webinars, and mentoring seems to be an unmet need, especially among millennials. And I think it can be peer-to-peer, it can be someone more seasoned to someone more junior, but also reverse mentoring. And I think those of us that are of a certain generation, like myself, probably can benefit from some of that reverse mentoring, especially as it relates to this need for finding different kinds of tools to be able to communicate, share information, collaborate in different ways. That's kind of my 2 cents.
Thank you. Good 2 cents. I appreciate it. And I still like you, even though I see Dallas Cowboys shirt on you. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
All good. Someone else says, what happens when your purpose and yourself clash? Oh, thank you for asking that. What happens when your purpose and yourself clash? And quite frankly, you will have to make sure that you pivot and align them together. They should not be clashing. You are your purpose, right? What's on the inside of you, how you think, how you process, the decisions that you make, all have to be aligned together. So you're going to have to really do the homework and sit down and really write down those things that for you, that you know you need to not do, those things you need to get rid of, those things that you know are not the most positive, they're not helping, but they're hurting. And you need to know, okay, here's my purpose here, and here are all the things I'm doing sometimes to self-sabotage. And that can be your mindset, that can be your attitude, that can be the way that you speak to yourself about yourself. And on another note, 87% of the things that we say to ourselves about ourselves is negative. So we have to change the conversation about ourselves and not be the enemy in a me. We've got to be able to speak more positive, speak more powerful, speak more purposeful, and align your purpose with yourself. So you should not be the thing that's getting in your way. You should not be the enemy to your destiny, right? Please make sure that you're writing out your why, and then you start to align your mindset, your actions to that as well too. Diane, thank you. Diane says, I have 2 mentees on the line as well to learn about what you taught me way back from NAAA HR. Wow, thank you. That's awesome. Someone said, is this going to be available as a recording? Absolutely. I've recorded this via Zoom. It's live on Facebook. Both of those will be made available. Someone else says, that's good, Dr. Shirley, stop getting in my own way. Yes, please stop doing that. And so let me, if you will, I want to ask one other question too, and you guys put it in the chat room. when you come out of the house from this COVID, I should say coronavirus, because not everybody has COVID-19. When you come out of the house, when you break through this pandemic, what will you look like? What will be different about you? So I want you guys to start writing that down. Someone says that I just retired from the military after 30 years, and this is one of the most fulfilling sessions I have ever attended. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for so much for that. That's awesome. While you guys are writing in the chat room the answer to my question, what will you look like? What will be different about you as a result of coming through this coronavirus, as a result of being shut in but not shut down? What will you be doing differently? How will you be thinking differently? How will you come out of this better, wiser, stronger as a result? And while you're doing that, I want to do one last share as I close out, just a couple of thoughts, and then I want to hear from you as well. So we talked about the 2 days that are most important in your life. If you want to really understand what your purpose is and reassess it, start with the end in mind, right? This isn't nothing new, right? This is biblical, but it's also just a great best practice that we've heard even in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But it also goes back to, I know that there is an end for you. I know how this is going to end. I created you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. That I know where I'm taking you. And your end, there's an expected end. And your end is that of a wonderful, beautiful story. So start with the end in mind, right? So here's it could sound eerie, but it's reality. Think about at the end of your life, 85, 95 years old, and now you are transitioning and going on to your reward. What I often ask people is to write down, what would you want people to have said about the life that you lived? Let's say right now that they are attending your celebration of life. And you've got people doing tributes. They're writing stuff on social media because, you know, now in these day and age, we all have learned how to really communicate more with social media and even celebrating people's lives who have transitioned on through social media. But, you know, let's say they're doing a tribute, they're reading your obituary and they're doing your eulogy. What would you want them to say? Start with that end in mind. You don't want them to say that you worked 80 hours a week. You don't want them to say you traveled all over the world. You don't want them to say that, you know, you had a great job and made a whole lot of money and had the biggest house in the neighborhood. Really? No, what would you want them to say? So I want you to think about that. And then 2, as you think about your purpose in life and as you reassess what does success look like, reprioritize your goals. There may be some things that you have not put down, right? I'm not big on New Year's resolutions. I am big on having a life plan, right? New Year's resolutions get broke. 50% of them are broken by February 14th, and the other 50% are either abandoned or broken by April 15th. But I want you to have a life plan, and the life plan starts with your why. The life plan starts with assessing what success looks like for you, reprioritizing your goals. So you may have to go back to the drawing board. But I want you to understand that most people fail at achieving their goals and their dreams, not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and they hit. The message from this, don't dream small. The message from this, there's greatness on the inside of you. The message from this is that there are things that you're supposed to be doing that are far beyond your imagination right now. And so I want you to always be thinking bigger, broader, more global, more futuristically. But again, people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. And at the end of the day, you want to align your goals with your purpose and ensure that you are not the one that is constantly talking negative about you. You have got to be, as I said, your biggest brand ambassador. So you inform the world who you are, what you do, and why should they care. You inform the world that you are powerful, that you are smart, that you are intelligent, that you are gifted, that you are a gift to them, to the world. Think positive, and that's really important. And at the end of the day, obey the signs in your life. There are some detours that in life, circumstances, situations, they come, they challenge us. It is to tell you that maybe you need to detour, that the place you're going, the direction you're taking, that's not the right direction. That perhaps what you're doing, how you're doing it, or that you're not doing at all, stop it. Sometimes you just got to obey the life signs. And then there are other things that will happen in life that you have to be aware and listen to what life is telling you. It might mean that you need to go back and take a U-turn. Go back and do it right. Go back and fix that. Go back and do it differently. So again, obey the life signs, and that's all about reprioritizing. Some of you may have situations that you haven't finished, that you need to close out. You need to forgive someone. You need to let something go. You need to not hold on to that anger, because that can get in the way of you having clarity of thought. That can get in the way of your destiny. I'm not going to hit on this because I'm running out of time, but I'm big on making sure too that we have holistic success. You need to have goals set for every area of your life: your family, your health and wellness, your career, your finances, your faith, your spirituality. Having success in every area of your life. That's what Reinventing Yourself is all about. It's being able to redefine success. It's reassessing your vision and your purpose. It's aligning your goals. As someone asked, how do I make sure that I'm aligning my goals with myself? Yes, you got to reprioritize those goals, and you got to retool your communication. How are you thinking about it? How are you communicating? How do you show up every day? Yes, and that informs your career, what kind of jobs you take on, what kind of career path you take. Some companies, some cultures are not best for you because they're not aligned with your own personal vision. There's some jobs, some companies, some leaders that I won't work for because they are not aligned with my vision. They would sabotage it. They would derail it. So I want you to think about it in its largest self. So again, this is how I want to end it today. When you learn to reinvent yourself, research tells us there's a payoff. And this is about our lives, that we're more creative. We tend to be more productive. We're happier. We're more at peace with ourselves and at peace with the world and at peace with others. We tend to find ways to solve problems instead of being the problem. We're healthier and we're much more impactful. So I'm going to come off of share right now, and I want to close it out with hearing some of the comments that you guys have made to my question, which is, again, what will you do differently? How will you show up differently as a result of being stuck in the house and being remote and being virtual and certainly being shut in? One of the things I'll do differently, you say, is I'll teach about using online platforms, right? 10 to 15 pounds lighter and on my author's journey. I love it. 10 to 15 pounds lighter. Focus on increasing multiple streams of income. Great. I'll be connecting with people that are where I want to be, working on having multiple streams of income. I'll be consistently, intentionally productive and not just busy. I'll work in corporate, and I'm proficient and diligent in my work, but I tend to procrastinate on my purpose, but no more. Oh, that's awesome. One said, oh, hats off to you. One says, I will no longer be computer illiterate due to having to teach online. Before Corona, I knew nothing about the Google Classroom or Google Slides. Great, that's awesome. Right now, someone says, I'm rewriting wills and estates and power of attorneys. That's awesome. I want them to say, I made a difference. I taught people how to love intentionally. I want my tombstone to read, she lived, she loved, and she led out loud. That's awesome. I tried to find this on Facebook Live. What's your Facebook page? Okay, I'll make sure I post that for you guys. Dr. Shirley, thank God for you. You're a gift. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Dr. Shirley, for sharing your time. Appreciate you, your knowledge and your experience. Blessings to you. Thank you all so much. It is 1:59. If you have questions, please follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter at Dr. Shirley Davis. You'll find me there, or either at the Success Doctor. And thank you so much for joining me for this virtual chat and chew, or I didn't hear y'all chewing, but thank you for your chat. Thank you again for the time that you're investing in your development. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side of this coronavirus. And I look forward to seeing you better, stronger, wiser. And I look forward to seeing how you have reinvented yourself. Have a wonderful day. And if you want to buy the book, go to my website, drshirleydavis.com, and you'll see it there. Looking forward to just check on my LinkedIn page. I'm going to be doing another one on resilience. Take care, everyone. I love you much. Virtual hugs to you. And I look forward to talking soon.
Perfect. She did that.
You can only lead like that because she is anchored in Christ. To God be the glory.
Thank you, Shirley. I appreciate you guys. I want to end the message. I see a few of y'all are still lingering around. I see chat still coming in, but thank you all so much for a phenomenal 1 hour of power.